Hi folks, Slick Slices here. This is a response to one of Paddy Potato Peeler's open tags. He had 5 budget lock knives that'll never leave your collection. And I thought, I don't think I have 5 budget lock knives that are particularly, in any way, particularly special to me. And then, of course, I went through the drawers to have a little look, and suddenly you get to the point where you've actually got more than 5, and it's difficult to work out which ones one should put in the collection, and one should put in this selection. So here are a few, and I just want to talk about 1 or 2 of them, and we'll kind of go through them, and I'll tell you why they may or may not be staying in my collection. These 2 will always be in my collection. This little this is the first pattern, Spyderco Ladybug, so it's one of the very early Spyderco knives I bought for my wife many years ago. Certainly more than 20, but I couldn't say whether it's as many as 30, but it's in that ballpark. And in those days I didn't have, I've always had a small collection of knives, but in those days I may have only had 20 or 30 knives. But this one was one of the first sort of quality budget knives that I bought my wife. Now, I think if you bought one of these today, I'm not sure it would fall into this sub £50 category, but it certainly did very much fall below that £50 level back when I bought it. And almost the same time, certainly within a few weeks of that, I bought this one for myself. And now the name Spyderco meant nothing to me in those days, and the fact that this was plastic meant it, in my mind, it had much lower value than this that was stainless steel. But this was my everyday carry for probably 10 years, maybe more. And so I could never part with this knife. I lost it several years ago, and it was missing for several years. Then I was clearing something out and I found it in the bottom of a drawer, and you've never seen somebody as happy as I was that day to get back this little silver tern, which I think, it's 440 steel, it says on it, 440 steel Japan. I believe these are both made by Moki, by the way. This says Vanadium stainless steel on the blade there. I don't really know what that means, but 440 is presumably 440A. It could possibly be 440C, but you'd think they'd probably tell you if it was. But these 2 will never ever leave my collection, just because they've been here so long. I have a little one called an El Diablo, but I cannot find it for the life of me. It would probably fall into this category as well. But those 2 definitely staying. The next one I would say is not necessarily this knife, but it would be very hard to see me ever be in a position where I didn't have an open L in my collection. I just cannot imagine it. This one is a number 8, and it's the carbon steel version. It could be any one of the open L's. I've several, but this one just happened to be the first one that came to hand, so this will always stay. After that, it gets a bit more tricky. Again, I suspect I'll always have one of these in the collection. This is the Black Cat K55K knife, Makita lockback. I can't imagine not having one in my collection, because it's just one of those things that is just a perennial reference subject, and that just leaves me 1. And what would I keep for the 1? Well, I thought it was going to be dead easy. I'd be lucky if I had 5, but there are a couple that could have made it in there. One is this. It's not a Menandi, by the way. If it was a Menandi, it wouldn't fit in this at all. This is an AliExpress. It's a pure rip-off of a Menandi, but it's not close enough for me to be taken in or anything like that. And it doesn't have, it does have a Chris Reeve logo on it, so oops. But I'm just very fond of this knife. I'm not fond of it enough to want to buy a Menandy, because Menandys are just ridiculously expensive, but I do like this little knife, and I had 2 of them. I gave one of them away, but I ordered one for £8, and it arrived, and a couple of days later another one arrived. So effectively these cost me £4 each. So I'm very, very fond of this. So that's one that could make it. This little cub from Rough Rider could be that 5th knife as well, because I do like these little cute little knives, and this little one, despite being awkwardly small, is cute, and I like it because of that. Also, it cost me, I think it was under £10, because I had a kind of a discount, and it was one of these things. I put it in the basket because either I had to pay £5 postage, or I paid £12 for this. So the net cost of this was up well under £10. So I'm not going to sell that, because what's the point? I'd never get enough for it. But that's not as a kind of a negative reason for keeping it rather than a positive. But this might fall into that same category. This is a huge behemoth of a kitchen knife, folding kitchen knife, camp knife, and I can't see myself ever getting rid of that, because it's kind of hilariously big. So it could be that one, but it isn't. And it isn't this one, nor is it this one. The one I'm actually going to keep is this one, and this is the Bokeh Magnum. And Bokeh Magnum is the budget range of Bokeh, and so this is pretty low down their range. Again, I think it's 440A. It is 440A, it says it on the back. These are Chinese made, but I've always had a thing for lockback knives. This has a sort of packer wood, plywood type wooden handle. It's got these what appear to be carved bolsters, but I think they're just cast in that shape. And you have a fairly simple drop point, hollow ground, sabre blade. But I really like this one. It is as nice as some of my sort of Moki knives and things like that, lockbacks, but it's a real budget piece. It's just great value for money. And also, this was a gift. This was a gift from my my daughter and my son-in-law for birthday, Christmas, Father's Day, something, I can't remember. I remember them giving it to me, and actually they've given me a few knives over the piece, but this is by far the nicest one. I just really like it. I don't generally want to carry a basic cheap knife, because I've got so many nice expensive knives, but I carry this one because I just like it. It's just a good you could use a knife, but it's also, I think it looks nice, and it looks way more classy than it deserves to be for what I suspect was paid for it. So there's my 5 knives. The Spyderco Ladybug, an old Spyderco Ladybug that I bought for next to nothing. The Silver Tern, I don't know who actually what brand makes it, but I believe these are both made by Moki. The Open L, very traditional French. One could call it almost a peasant knife, but these are the best pitning knives ever. The Makita K55K lockback, a classic again, German classic this time. And this Bokeh Magnum. Bokeh are an incredibly old German company, but this one's actually made in China for them. So there we are. There's my 5. If you like this stuff, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of it, then please subscribe, and remember to ring the bell if you want notifications. Thank you very much. Bye. A little addendum to that video. I just noticed that all of those knives that I picked out as some of my favourites, almost all of them are lockbacks. I like lockbacks because they are almost ambidextrous. Those that the two that I didn't, one is an open L, which is pretty much fully ambidextrous too, and the Menandi, which is good enough as being ambidextrous. It does have a pocket clip though, which does rather ruin things slightly. But other than that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lockbacks out of the 8 knives that I picked out. That must be a thing. Anyway, that's it. Thanks very much. Bye.